Well, hello there, my sweet friends. Welcome back to the podcast. I'm going to have one of those conversations today that is going to feel a little uncomfortable. And that's okay. As you know, I'm here to have the uncomfortable conversations only to make money feel sexy and fun. That's really the goal. Because the way you have, the world, society has villainized money, when money is like one of the most important resources that we run on, it's not useful. But here's the truth about money. Because it has the reputation it does, there's a part of you that self-abandon when it comes to your finances. And that's what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about the fact that one of the biggest reason money feels tight or hard, whether you make as much as you want or make more or make a lot, it has nothing to do with the money you make. It has everything to do with how you relate to yourself. There's a level of self-abandonment that happens for women and money that I want to address today. So it may feel a little sensitive, this conversation, but you know how much I love you and how much I want the most for you. Because when I realized that money was a game that needed to be learned, there are rules to the game. And then it's also a reflection of my inner connection with myself. I had to share it with other women. I had to, because it had always been this mystery. And there were a lot of things in my life that were affected by how I was interacting with money. And I couldn't put the link until I did. And then when I did, I was like, this has to be shared. So part of me coming to that realization or to that confidence with my relationship with money was also deep honesty. And honesty is not a fluffy emotion. It's a powerful, hard emotion, but it's very empowering. So that's what I'm going to request and ask from you for this episode. I'm going to ask deep honesty. If what I say calls you out, I want you to be present with it. In my coaching sessions with my clients, I call them out. I don't let them get away with anything. And sometimes I even call out the bigger thing that's not yet showing up because I know that's where they're going. And some of the times I'll have some of my clients that are like, wait, that's not how I actually see this. It kind of helps them come back to themselves and helps them wake up in their own lives. So it's one of the ways that I do that is really useful. And I don't let them justify themselves and be defensive. Like there's no room for that when you want to grow and you want more for your life. So that's what I'm going to call you on here is if I call you out, be with it, be honest with it. And if it's bigger than what you're actually dealing with, use that as the catalyst for waking up in your own life and taking full ownership, leading yourself to success and being fully 100% responsible for your results. Because that's how much power you do have, control you have. And sometimes if you're sleeping, you don't realize how powerful you are. And so I'm going to wake you up, my friend. You're welcome. All right, let's dive in. Here's what I've identified, some patterns with women in relationships, women with girlfriends and friends and family, and women in the social world. I've seen this happen and I'm going to call it out. So if any of the lines that I say you identify with, note that. Keep it in mind because I'm going to help you. I'm going to guide you through how to navigate that specific situation. So some of the things that I have seen is you don't fully trust your own desires. And what I mean is you want something, but you undermine it. You're like, it's too greedy. It's too big. It's not big enough. It won't fit in my lifestyle right now. It won't fit with the people around me. I shouldn't want this. I really want it, but it's not attainable. all of those things. And because of that, you hesitate, you second guess, you delay decisions, you stay vague. Being vague is a really wonderful safety net. You tell yourself you're thinking about it, you're thinking through it. But what you're really doing is you're avoiding commitment to yourself. And if you look at your patterns closely, if you pay attention, you're going to see this in so many areas of your life. Because when you have an idea, something you want to explore, you want to shift something in your life, you want to change something, but instead of deciding on your own, you pause, you sit in it, you start looking outside of you. You start to ask opinions from others. You start to look for validation. When you're asking opinions, you want someone to tell you something you need to latch onto to start believing in the idea. You gather more information, you're doing research, studying. And it's none of this is because you need it. It's because you don't trust yourself to decide. And here's where it gets more subtle. Because this doesn't look like avoidance. It looks like you're being responsible. It looks like you just want to make the right decision. You're being thoughtful. You're being considerate. You're really looking at all the angles. That is the mature thing to do. Underneath all of this, there is a deep lack of self-trust. I was talking to a friend the other day, and she was asking me, how do I even know if I trust myself or if I love myself? Because I was telling her, when you love yourself and you trust yourself, then you love and trust everyone around you. But when there's a level of trust around about the people around you, then there is a deep wound of self-trust inside of you you haven't even recognized. So all these characteristics are an expression of lack of self-trust. And here's where I see it showing up the most. You'll have a partner. You'll have an idea that you want to move around and explore it and shift things. And maybe you want to expand on something. You bring it up to your partner. You're really not bringing it up for collaboration. You're bringing it up for permission. And then you present what you want, and then you wait. You watch their reaction. You listen to their opinion. And then whatever they say becomes the thing that you anchor all of your decisions on. I want you to think about that. Have you done that? It's like you had this idea, but it was kind of like on the water. It wasn't grounded. And then you went to your partner with an idea that wasn't like fully blown and wasn't grounded in yourself. And then they gave you their opinion. But then their opinion has become the thing that this idea is hanging on of now. So what happened was, in that moment, you've handed them over your own leadership over your life. You didn't mean to, but that's what you did. Now, I want you to be clear. This isn't about you not valuing your partner or not taking in more input or looking at different ways you could approach this situation, this thing you want. This is about something way deeper than that. This is about where the final decision comes from. And for a lot of women, it doesn't come from within. It usually comes from the outside. Because if you really think about it, if the decision was coming from within, whatever anyone that you brought up the conversation with said, it would be like you have the vision, and then whatever someone said, this vision is so powerful and so strong. Whatever someone said, whatever feedback you got from bringing it up, you would take that thing and kind of like, it's almost like you would hanging off of that vision instead of the thing be what the vision is standing on. Do you see what I mean? And sometimes you may even look at the vision and realize this doesn't fit anywhere. But that's because you're grounded in yourself and you already have the vision. But if you didn't even create a vision and you had this wobbly idea of what you wanted and you ran to your partner to talk about it before the vision was conceived, then their opinion is what's going to become the anchor for the vision. And you've just like handed over your own leadership to them. You've let them be the one that designs your vision and give you the vision. But the part you missed was, as individuals, we are all gifted with our power of vision. And taking on someone else's vision is always the most misaligned thing to do. So again, this is not about not valuing your partner. No. It's just that we want this vision to come from within. So here are 2 reasons why this happens. The first one is you only bet on yourself when the outcome feels guaranteed. So you really look and create this vision when you feel grounded that this is going to happen. This outcome is guaranteed. I have all the proof that I can make this happen. And so you want it to be safe. You want it to feel predictable. And you want to have the straight path to the vision, how you're going to make it happen. And so when you have this picture, okay, now I can go forward with it. I don't even need anybody else's opinion. I got this. And that's when you move. But if it feels uncertain, if there's something about this idea that is uncertain, you can't map out fully the path to succeeding, you hesitate. You look for assurance. You look for others' opinion. And that's because you don't trust yourself to handle the outcome. Whatever comes out on the other side, you don't trust that you can handle it. And that's the part that hurts, right? Because think about it. There is something fascinating about us as humans, something called self-justification. This book I'm reading is called what's it called again? I forget. I keep forgetting the title. Mistakes Were Made. That's what it's called. And it really goes into explaining how is it that us from the outside, we can look in at someone else's life and be like, dude, how you did not see that? Like, we can see how you didn't see. But when you are in your own life, you don't see at all what's going on. You really believe in the lies your brain tell you. And this is self-justification. The brain never wants to be wrong. So, which is why I'm saying, like, I'm calling you out here and you can identify yourself here. And then your brain is going to like find all the reasons why what I'm saying is ridiculous. And don't believe it. Really, like, sit with this. Because while you're in your own life and you're abdicating your self-leadership to someone else when it comes to decisions, because I mentioned the first reason is you really want grounded certainty that the thing you're going for is going to happen. And if it doesn't, if you don't have certainty, you're not going for it, right? So when that's the case, it's really because you don't trust yourself with the outcome. You don't trust that you are the one bringing the certainty to the outcome. It's not actually the outcome itself that happens to you. You make it happen, right? You don't trust that. And so that's why it feels scary. And so you abandon the responsibility and you rely on your partner. The second reason that you do this is you've never actually built self-trust internally. And this is something we lose as young women as early as 5 years old. When we start to interact with other kids, when we go to kindergarten, our self-esteem and self-trust starts to erode if it's not cultivated. And so little by little growing up, if you never actually built this skill in trusting your inner self and what you want and your guidance, you don't have it, right? So what you've learned is how to perform, how to achieve, and how to meet expectations. Which is why one of my clients told me one time, she's like, I don't actually even know if what I am doing is what I want to do. And how do I know what I'm thinking is what I want to think? It was just really mind-boggling to her on how to be in her own mind and see the difference between beliefs she's taken on from culture, family, and her own thoughts. And if you've never been trained to see the difference, it's really confusing, right? So if you haven't learned to decide and stand behind your decisions without needing external confirmation, then you just have not had that training. Your brain hasn't created those patterns. You haven't practiced those patterns. You have no idea how that looks like. So what happens here when that's the case? You defer, you delay, you stay in indecisions longer than necessary. And over time, this creates a very quiet pattern. And so you stop very slowly showing up for yourself. Even in simple decisions, I've had girlfriends where they couldn't even decide what restaurant we're going to go to. It was like, it was always someone else that could do it, because it was just like their brain wasn't trained to just latch onto one thing and stay with it no matter what was going on outside. So you have this really slow progression of abandoning yourself little by little. You no longer listen to yourself. You no longer do what you want. I remember reading this book, and this man, the author was a man, and he was saying one of the ways that he started doing this to listen to himself was he would go to he was in this class, actually. He was in a class, and the teacher told the students to pick a cup. They were going to do some type of exercise with different cups. And there was a yellow cup that he wanted. And someone else picked it up. And normally he would have just been like, it's okay, they can have it. But at this moment, in this very instant, he said, you know what? I want the yellow cup. So can I have the yellow cup? And because he asked, he got the yellow cup. So normally he would have been like, that's okay, they already got it. Little things that he did to start to express his own authority over his own life. And then that translated into the bigger things. So if you started to abandon yourself, notice in the small things, you kind of just relinquish that responsibility to other people, because it's too much for your brain. It's too much, right? And so this happens, again, not in big dramatic ways, in very small, but it's consistent. And so you don't act on what you want. You don't follow through on your ideas. You don't honor your own direction. And eventually you stop taking yourself seriously, because there is a contract between yourself and yourself, between your mind and your body. If your body wants something and your mind dismisses it, there's a level of trust that starts to erode. And the more consistent this pattern exists, the bigger the disconnection happens. I want you to see this. And this is why eventually you stop taking yourself seriously, because you stopped listening to what you want. You stopped giving your body the position it needed, it required, it requested. And anyone in any relationship who's not heard, after a while, you stop talking. Because if I'm gonna voice what I want and you never listen and we always do what you want, after a while, I'm not going to see the point in voicing what I want anymore. So I'm just going to be quiet. And that's exactly what happened with your body. Your brain was not trained, so it just stopped connecting in little ways. And eventually there was like a huge divide. And there's a disconnection. So that is what I call a quiet abandonment, where you just like have disconnected with what's inside of you. And this doesn't just affect your life. This shows up very clearly in your money, because money requires decisions, clear decisions, direct decisions, uncomfortable ones sometimes. And so you need to be able to decide where you're going to allocate, what you're going to prioritize, what you're going to say yes to, what are you going to say no to. And if you don't trust yourself, if there's no connection, then your money will reflect that. Because, I always say your money is a direct reflection of your connection to yourself. The deeper you're connected to yourself, your money just follows that connection. It's like the flow, like you unlock the gates that was blocking the money flow. And so the minute that connection is established, money just flows and follows that. So what you do here is you stay vague with your numbers. You delay making plans. You go back and forth on what you want to do. Or you let someone else decide for you. A partner, an advisor, a system that you don't fully understand. You use budgeting apps to decide, make decisions on your money. Again, I mentioned a financial advisor. You go to a financial advisor, which is great, but like there is a connection you need to create first before you consult with a financial advisor about any money planning that you want to do. And again, this looks responsible. But underneath all of this, you have removed yourself from the equation. You have allocated, relinquished all of what is important to you, what makes you you to other people, to your partner, to the advisor, to the app, to the system, to your girlfriends, to family members that know what they're doing. And as long as someone else is is a directing factor in your life, then you're not leading your life. Remember, we are uniquely bound and connected to our own aspirations. Someone else's aspirations can't fit our identity, who we are. And so if someone else is the one guiding your life's decisions, then you're not leading your own life. And your money is going to reflect that. Because your money does not respond to what you want. Your money responds to how and what you direct it to. So if your decisions are unclear, or if your directions are unclear, and your decisions are inconsistent, and if your follow through is conditional, then your results will be too. And this is actually where financial confidence comes from. Not just from your numbers, not just having a plan, but knowing that when you decide on something, because you will be the one to make the decision, not your partner, not your friends, you follow through on the decision. You back yourself up. You, not your partner. So when I talk about not valuing your partner, this is the part where there's like there's friction here, because you think making the decision, following through on the decision, having your own back, in some instances, you think it's not trusting your partner, it's not valuing them, it's not respecting them. You worry so much about how they're going to feel, about the fact that you're making the decision, you're following through, you're backing yourself up, that now to alleviate that discomfort, that's why you lean back on them. And what you don't realize is the thing you're trying to avoid, you're creating it. The discomfort you're trying to avoid by whatever you think your partner is going to do is the discomfort you will feel when you feel misaligned, because now you let them make decisions and then they don't know there's a disconnect inside of you. They have no idea. They will always make the decision for you if that's what you want. I always say this to my clients who are married. If you're bringing a conversation, especially if it's about money, you want to make a decision about money, and you're bringing a conversation to your partner, they don't know how you're supposed to approach it. So if you're coming to ask for permission, yeah, they're going to say no if they don't feel like it. And they might say yes if they feel like it, because you're literally letting them decide, right? But if you're showing up for collaboration, say, hey, honey, I am looking at this program and here's what it's going to do for me. And here's how I'm going to get an ROI from it. And here's the vision I'm creating from it. And here's how I'm going to show up and get what I came for in this program. And this is how much it costs. And I'm going all in. I just want you to be aware of this is what's happening. And here's how we're going to make this work, because this is the demands that I'm going to need from myself. And here's how I'm going to cover up. And I need your support on this. The conversation is different than saying, hey, sweetie, there's this thing I really want to do. And there's a program that could help me with that. And I talked to the lady and it sounds very nice. And here's how much it costs. And what do you think? You see the difference? You've got to have your own back. This can be very uncomfortable. Money is very uncomfortable, right? For most people. It's not comfortable for me, as you can tell. But I've mastered the discomfort. Like, I've mastered it. When I talk about money, in some cases, I do feel the discomfort, but I've mastered being with it and now I've run away from it. So yeah, it could feel uncomfortable. Again, especially because there's no certainty of the outcome. You're the certainty. Yeah. But you're the certainty is a huge deal that you don't want to underestimate. That is the most important part. You, the process, and the person who's going to guide you through the process. Those are the most important parts. And so you cannot underestimate your value in this equation, right? So you want to be able to back yourself up, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's uncertain. That is self-trust. That's what changes everything. Listen, in Money Academy, in a Green Wealth Legacy, it's run by 4 women. 3 of those women are married and 1 isn't. 3 of those women have children and 1 does not have any children. So we know how it feels to be able to have to make decisions that involve other family members that are directly related to that money. We know it's hard, yet a woman has to have her own back to be successful, to get to the next level, to use money in a way that feels aligned. Because the more women make money and know how to manage money and feel confident in their money decisions, the more society benefits. Think about what I just described, the scenario of the 2 different conversations. When you approach your husband, your partner, with the attitude of, here's what I want. I have a clean vision of what I'm creating. Here's what I'm going to use to achieve that. Here's how I'm going to show up through this whole process. And here's how much support I need from you. How do you think your husband is going to react? Oh, I promise you, he will have a way different reaction than if you're asking him for permission. And I want you to try it. Next time you want to invest into something, really tap into that Sasha Fierce energy and bring up the conversation with this kind of power. Like, you've got yourself. You've got your own back. You've got this, right? Whether he shows up for you or not, it's the bonus. It's the bonus. He is not the center of the equation. You are. And you get to show up for yourself. You stand up on your own 2 feet and you stand up for yourself in the uncertainty, in the unknown. And this is how you guarantee you will always succeed. I promise. The women that I work with, we rehearse the scenarios if they need to talk it through with partners. Because again, it's scary. It's the same thing that when it comes to asking for a promotion, right? You're at a job for years and years and years and you think, oh, they're going to see my value and they're going to promote me. That's not going to happen. That's not how it happens. Maybe, but that's not the norm. If it happens that you was just surprised with the promotion, that's the exception. When you want something, you've got to go for it yourself. So it's really important for you to see the distinction here and recognize how if you have created a pattern of self-abandonment, you want to rescue yourself. You want to be there for yourself. Show up and own your future. You get to do that. No one else. Whether you're married or not, you save yourself always. You are your own savior, your own hero, right? And the only reason I say hero, I'm going to be honest with you, is because I can't say heroine. I always don't say it right. So let's just not even go there. I just tried it and you see it don't sound right. So listen, you are your own hero, okay? Some words just don't come out clear. Listen, I am going to close this out with inviting you to my masterclass, How to Spend Your Money Guilt-Free. It always amazes me every time I say this to women. They always tell me, I don't spend my money. I don't feel guilty when I spend my money. And here's the truth. This is not about the moment you spend your money and you're feeling guilty. This is about how you're spending your money that later gets you into a guilty pattern. And I want to teach you how to avoid that by building powerful skills like making decisions with your own self, having your own back, following through, be the certainty in the decision. And so to learn more, I want you to go in the show notes to find the link. It's greenwealthlegacy.com/confidence. When you listen to this episode and you see any of this that applies to you, don't make it mean anything is wrong with you. Just see it clearly with honesty, no judgment. Where are you deferring decisions? Where is that? Like, identify. Where are you waiting for permission? Where are you fully not backing yourself up? Start there. And because of this is where everything shifts. Because the moment you shift that specific thing, when you ask yourself those questions, your relationship with money is going to shift too. Remember, the money is a tool, so it just follows your energy. And it will follow the connection that you're going to reestablish with yourself. There is a beautiful thing that happens when a woman listens to her body. I was at a meeting the other day and I was talking to a friend and she was telling me how which by the way, I love a good mistake and a good failure that can teach you amazing things, but also there are things you could avoid if you were more connected to yourself. And she made a hiring mistake that is costing her way more than she thought. And she had a nudge that it wasn't the right thing to do. She just didn't listen because she hasn't honed in that skill yet. And part of you taking ownership of your decisions with money will help you hone in that skill of listening to your intuition, to your body. And that is where you start. Okay, my friend, I will leave you with this. I will see you in the next episode. Until then, go out there and lead your life on purpose.